the name, and in this video, we're live first of all, but in this video, we're gonna talk about none other than the best military branch. Okay, it's time to go yet. But I'm outside, as you can see. I gotta make a little run in a minute, but I wanted to come on here and talk about the military. Now, in case you don't know, I'm an Air Force veteran, know a lot about the military. I spent 14 years, participating, whether or not it was on active duty, whether or not it was in the reserves, whether or not it was active duty in the reserves. Have brothers and I have a brother and a sister who are also military. I got a bunch of friends, cousins. I got a lot of, I got uncles, aunties who've been in the military. So it's weird because it's not like I came from a military family, not even close, but I do have a lot of military members in my family. So I know a lot about the military, spent a lot of time learning about different parts, because it was by choice, it was by force. My sister was Army ROTC. I went in enlisted. My brother went in enlisted. Some of my friends became warrant officers, things like that. I've also very familiar with the civilian workforce. I was a GS, and so I know just a lot about the military. So let's talk about the different branches. All right. So the most popular branch, I guess, would be the Army. They're the biggest branch, got the most people. I was Air Force, and I have family members who was Navy, and don't really know anybody who was a Coast Guard, who was like in the Coast Guard, which is interesting. I mean, I knew people who was in high school who was saying that they were going to go to the Coast Guard, and they was like shipping out to go to the Coast Guard. But like, I don't know what that experience was like. So they're actually, I guess you can say, 6 branches. There's Air Force. I'm always going to name them first, baby. Air Force, Army, Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard, and now the new Space Force. All right, so the Space Force is actually a part of the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're just a subset of the Air Force, much like the Marines are really just a subset of the Navy. They're actually a part of the Navy. Even though they have their own recruiters or whatever, they're really like a part of the Navy. But who's the best? Who's the best? That's what people want to know. Who is the best branch? Hold on, let me turn this down. And you're probably going to think that I'm going to say the Air Force is the best branch because I was in the Air Force. And if you think that I'm going to say the Air Force is the best branch, you are right, okay? Air Force is the best branch. And I'm not even being, I guess you could say I'm being biased. That's where I have the most experience, of course. Give me one sec. I'm trying to be able to get on here. Technology is hurting our kids. So yes, the Air Force is the best branch, but we still need to break this down. Why is the Air Force the best branch? Hold on. Is best. Why is the Air Force the best? Okay, so the Air Force is the best because, one, let's work smarter, not harder. Let's be intelligent about how we do things, and that's what the Air Force is all about. You know what I mean? We're the brains of the military. I'm sorry if anybody's getting offended by anything I say, especially other service members. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. Y'all know how we get on. Y'all know how we give it up. I gotta rock with the Air Force, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, the Air Force is the, I don't want to say spoiled. We have the best dining facilities. We have the best living quarters. We have just like the best. I've stayed in like a Army hotel. It was terrible. It was not up to the standards that I was used to in the Air Force. Everybody kind of knows this. Let me tell you the story about how I went into the military, and then you'll kind of get an understanding about why I'm saying this. Okay, so my sister, I'm telling my sister, yo, I'm thinking about going into the military. I don't know too much about the branches at this time. I know she was Army, my uncle was Navy. I don't really know too much about the military. My sister says, well, cool, the military is good for you, but do not go into the Army. You need to go in the Air Force or something. And I'm like, I don't really know what that means. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really sure. You feel me? Like, I don't really know what she mean, And so I'm sure it was some sort of insult, but also a heads up. Like, hey, the Army is going to be a hard life. You might want to go into the Air Force because you don't really want to do all the stuff we got to do. So I was like, okay, well, let me look into this Air Force thing. Because, like, again, I'm going to listen to somebody who knows more than me about this because I know nothing. And I was like, the Air Force, okay, let me look into the Air Force. So I started looking into the Air Force, started learning about the Air Force. I'm like, cool, bet. I want to do the Air Force. My uncle, he was like, yo, go to the Navy because he was Navy. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the Air Force. And even when I told him I think about the Air Force, he's like, oh, that's cool, Yeah, just don't go in the Army, So I'm like, all right, cool. So I started learning about the Air Force. I'm focused. I'm finna go join the Air Force. I get back to Tallahassee from Miami, and I go straight to the recruiter. Straight in. I go straight into the recruiter. Talk to the recruiter. I get signed up. In a week's time, I had my date to go to MEPS to get my physical. That's how on it I was. If y'all know anything about joining the military, you go back and forth to the recruiter, taking documents and all that. I had to get my record expunged and all kind of stuff like that because I was the young hot kid. But I had to go do all of that stuff, and so I take a pre-ASVAB. It wasn't the real ASVAB, but I was a gifted kid. I was a gifted classes, so I was always like smart. So I took a pre-ASVAB. I did so well on that. They was like, yo, we ain't got to worry about making you study. You can go straight to MEPS and take the real thing. So they set me up a date to ship out to MEPS. I go tell my cousin, hey, cuz, guess what? Guess what I'm going to do? My cousin in Georgia, I'm telling him I'm in South Georgia at this time visiting. And so I'm like, yo, cuz, guess what I'm about to do? He like, what's that? I said, I'm about to go into the military. Like, I done figured it out. I know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I'm going in the military. And I'm going to do 20. All right? That's what my plan was. I ain't really have no other plans. And so my cousin was like, oh, you finna go to the military? That's great, cuz. What, you finna go in the Army? And I said, nah, I ain't going in the Army. He said, the Navy? No, he said, Marines? And I said, no, I ain't going in the Marines. He said, the Navy? I said, no, I ain't going in the Navy. He said, the Coast Guard? I said, no, I ain't going in the Coast Guard. And I want to tell him, but he keeps naming branches. And so after he says, the Marines, I said, no, he said the Marines, like after the Army, and I'm like, no, not the Marines. He said, the Navy? I said, no, not the Navy. He said, the Coast Guard? I said, no, not the Coast Guard. He said, well, what else is there? And I'm like, really? The Air Force. And he said, the Air Force? Oh, you better go fly planes and shit? I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go fly no planes. All right, no, I'm gonna just get a job, whatever they give me. There's other jobs besides pilots. I couldn't even be a pilot. I was coming in enlisted. You got to be an officer to fly. So I'm like, no, I ain't gonna do that. So he says, okay, well, why you chose the Air Force? I said, well, it's a higher, it's a better quality life. Like, it's kind of like we get the best of everything. We get the best hotels. We get the best dining facilities. We get the best living quarters. Just I'm telling him all the good things. And then his other cousin was there. He was a Marine. He happens to walk up, and he's like, oh, you about to go in the Air Force? That's what's up, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Marine. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, the reason I ain't going to Marines because I prefer this other lifestyle. So cuz saying, what's the other lifestyle? So his other cousin starts saying, yeah, man, like, they got some nice barracks and stuff, man. We be having to dig a hole. We have to dig a hole and sleep in a hole. They get to be in tents. And so, when they downrange, we might have to dig a hole as a Marine and sleep in a hole. So I turned my cousin, I'm like, you hear that? That's crazy, right? And my cousin say, yeah, I need to be a Marine. I said, wait, what? Like, you want to have to dig a hole? He's like, cuz, that's outdoors, cuz, I'm going to back that, cuz. And I'm like, okay, I'm a city boy. You more in the country. So, maybe we don't understand the same thing. So I didn't see no fascination in digging a hole and sleeping in a hole more than if I'm in Afghanistan or Iraq and I get to sleep in an air conditioned tent. Okay? I think the air condition is more to my liking than being unbelievably hot and sweaty. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I don't know what people on. That's just what I was on. So anyway, I go from that to, that was just a little bit of a small background so you can maybe get an understanding of kind of the differences between the branches. And so I go from there to learning, of course, more and more about the military branches. And everybody's like, yo, what's good? Curtis Davis, what's popping, gang? Yeah. So I started learning more and more about like the different branches. And so the Marines, they would always say, first in, last out. This is ever before I go in. We the first ones in, we the last ones to leave. Like, we're going to shut it all down. We're going to be the first ones in there, and we're going to stay there until everybody gone, and we're going to be the last ones to leave. And they liked that. They was all about that combat. And you say Air Force or Navy best? Air Force. Absolutely Air Force. Okay, let me tell you why, though. I'm gonna give you a reason. And I'm going to tell you something that's embarrassing about myself and the Air Force and Navy, between the two. So I go in and, I get into the Air Force. And so I'm in tech school, not basic training, I'm in tech school. And so I was in tech school learning about, the Navy, just, like learning about other branches and our branch, right? And so I'm there, and then I have to work on F-16s. I was avionics, aviation technology. So any kind of electronics dealing with the F-16 fighter jets or F-22, F-35, that Predator, that's what I was. That was my AFSC, which is Army's version of the MOS or whatever. We call it the AFSC. That was what my job was avionics. So I'm learning about all of these planes, and then it hits me like a ton of bricks. Like it was like a slap in the face. I said, and like I'm sitting there in class one day, and I said, oh man, Top Gun was in the Navy. Y'all remember the movie Top Gun with Tom Cruise? That's Navy. That's not Air Force. I joined the Air Force thinking that was the Air Force. That was the Navy. But I'm not even watching the movie at the time where I realized this. I'm sitting there and, reading about the different planes, and then it just hits me that, oh my God, I joined the Air Force thinking that Tom Cruise was in the Air Force. That was the Navy. Oh my, I was so internally embarrassed. I was so internally embarrassed that I didn't really want to tell nobody. I was just like, oh my God, nobody needs to know this. This is terrible. But, hold on. What Curtis Davis says, hold on, let me see what you're saying, brother. All right. Some branches share tech schools. Yes, when I was in, they started doing a joint tech school. And the advantage to that was Air Force had a community college. It was the only branch that had its own college. So when you went to the Air Force and you learned your job, you got college credits. But say if you went into the Army, you might get some credits, but they're going to be like more physical, like PE credits. We would get like solid state theory, DC AC voltage, healthcare administration credits. You would get like credits that would transfer into a degree program. Like you could actually get an associate's degree through the Air Force by just going to tech school, and then make sure you got to get your like math and your speech and some other like prerequisite, like some base classes. But you could actually get a degree through the community college of the Air Force. The Navy, Marines, Army, they didn't have that. And I'm sure the Coast Guard didn't have that. But The Air Force had that. So when I got out of tech school, my first tech school, I had like 117 college credits. And I had been in school like 9 months, but you know, we go to school 8 hours a day. Like that was our job, was to go to school. But I was, you know, I was in school a very long time for military tech schools, and you know, because it was avionics. And so I got a lot of credits. So I only needed a couple credits to get an associate's degree. Associate's degree is 120 credits. So and then the Air Force Community College also was it's under SACS, because it's in it's in like Montgomery or somewhere. I can't remember. It's in like Montgomery or somewhere, but it has a so it's under SACS, which is like the South, which is the Southern accreditation thing, like probably like you know, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, you know, and Florida State, you know, they're probably all under SACS, but it's under SACS, which means that those other Southern schools, or well, not even just Southern schools, but those regionally accredited schools also accept those credits. So you could transfer those credits straight in, most of those credits straight in. And so you know, it's not much to finish up your associate's degree. Like I said, I had 117 credits. A typical associate's degree is 120 to 124 credits. So I only needed really like maybe 3 to 7 credits or something like that. But you would still need like credit, like a math, speech, English class or something. It was like 4 or 5 classes you would still need to take in order to close out your associate's degree. But we were the only branch that offered that ability. So I got 2 degrees in 2.5 years once I actually went back to college, because of the community college of the Air Force. When I might have a partner of mine who just got out of the Army and he has to start over, and he really has 6 credits that he's transferring in, and I transferred in, you know, because I had 2 tech schools, so I had like 200 credits that I was transferring in. So I was pretty much just building on a bachelor's degree at that point. And so I was able to finish two degrees in 2.5 years as you know, just because of the Air Force Community College or whatever. So anyway, they started doing the joint command stuff and the joint tech schools, so that these other branches could also, I believe, so these other branches could benefit from the community college of the Air Force, or from getting these college credits or whatever that would transfer to universities. So that was kind of the benefit of that, which is another reason to go into the Air Force, shawty. You know what I'm saying? It's a reason to go into the Air Force. Okay, hold on. Let me see what you're saying. Okay. CBRN, all branches take the same base. Yep. Right. Air Force is the closest to civilization college. I did Army. Okay, go Army. I hear you, my boy. I hear you, brother. Army in the house. Right. Tech schools like trade school or quick community college credit. Yep, for sure. So, you know, we gotta keep, you know what I'm saying, keep focusing on getting this free education too. All the branches offer this free education. I will say that what the Army has is a bigger budget. Okay, so the Army was offering me $30,000 for the same job. Like, you know, before I shipped out, the Army was like, "Hey, we'll give you $30,000." Because I was like, I was already, you know, got all my stuff. Know I was getting ready to go avionics. Had my ship out date. I'm walking to. They always had the recruiters right beside each other for whatever reason. So recruiters is like right beside each other. Army guys is outside. They like, "Yo, what you doing? What you going in the Air Force office for?" I'm like, "Man, I'm about to, you know, I already got my day. I'm avionics. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go." And they was like, "You avionics, man? Come holler at us real quick. You about to go off and do that? So you smart." I'm like, yeah. Let me see ASVAB scores. I'm showing my ASVAB score. Dude, like, dang, like, hold on. We got to talk, bro. We got to talk, because you don't want to make a mistake. So he pulled me in there. I'm like, what's up? And he like, look, I can give you, look, he said, look at this job right here. That's an avionics job for helicopters. You can do avionics. You're going to be doing avionics for fighter jets. This one, you'll be doing avionics for helicopters. It's still avionics, same thing. He said, for going avionics or whatever for them, right? And so I'm like, for real? So I run back. I'm like, hold on. Before I do anything, let me go talk back to them. Let me try to get this same 30,000 up out them. They like, man, they ain't gonna have it, bro. They ain't got the kind of budget we got, bro. We can give you bread. So I run back over to the Air Force side and I said, hey, what's up? I'm feeling myself right now. So I'm like, look, check this out. The Army guys right next door, they just seen my ASVAB scores and they can slide me in this job and I can be gone quick because the Air Force was like, it's gonna be 2 months or 4 months before I can leave. So they like, look, we can get you gone like that. You'll be already off. So I'm trying to get up out the hood because I'm in the hood at the time. So I'm like, I'm telling them, I'm like, man, listen, they talking about they can send me on off and I can be avionics and they'll give me 30 bands to do the same kind of job. They said, wait. We ain't gonna match that. He said, but it's a reason that they offering you money like that. Because you're gonna be in a war zone somewhere fixing on a helicopter with bombs going off around you. With us, you're gonna be working on fighter jets. The Air Force, we send our officers to fight. The enlisted sends the officers to fight. And then the other branches, the officers send the enlisted to fight. You're going on the enlisted side. In the Air Force, the enlisted send the officers to fight. And I said, that's interesting. I said, why are you saying that? He said, because officers are pilots. And I was like, oh, okay, right. You got to have a degree to be a pilot. You got to be an officer to be a pilot. That made sense. So the people actually flying the jets are going to be the pilots. And they not like trying to land in a war zone. They fly trying to, do what they do. But they not like landing like a helicopter is gonna land and something malfunctioning. You might have to be on the I guess you might have to fix it in a war zone and try and fly it back up out of it. I don't know, but they scarred me from even thinking about going over there. I was like, you know what? Okay, let me go on with the Air Force or whatever. I ain't getting no signing bonus or nothing, but I don't regret my decision at all. So yeah, I never deployed. Contrary to people's belief, I know people who were in the Air Force who deployed, in my time, my 14 years, I know people who deployed 10 times who was in the same amount of time that I was, and they deployed all the time. I never deployed. I did get sent to Germany. I lived in Germany for 3 years. I had the opportunity to deploy probably more than once, but there was one time, and when I say the opportunity to deploy, it's because it was more optional for my kind of job or whatever, because I didn't have a job that was really used in the war like that, because those other agencies didn't really have they didn't really have air forces. I mean, the Taliban didn't really have planes. That's why they were stealing our planes. Imagine if they had their own planes and they could just fly them in and stuff. They didn't. So they were more like on the ground. So we didn't, for like our thing, we were more so, the F-16s was more for like dog fighting, like more for like air-to-air combat. But it wasn't really in the air-to-air combat, so they didn't really have much of a mission for most of the time. It was more of a F-15s were over there a lot for whatever reason, and some other kind of planes or whatever, A-10s. But it wasn't really a lot of work for so we didn't really go over there much. So whenever there was a chance to go over there, you can volunteer to go over there and maybe help out or do something or whatever. But there just wasn't a lot of opportunity for us. And so, hold on, give me 1 second. I'm trying to navigate to this thing. Start. So going from that, it was kind of like
head north toward Rockbridge Road Southwest.
So there was an opportunity came to me, and they was like, hey, do you wanna go down range? I'm like, it's gonna probably get dark. I don't know, because I'm probably gonna leave this little lit up area over here. But they were like, hey, do you want to deploy? And I was like, why would I want to do that? And they was like, well, you can get this and have it on your like thing to say, yeah, I did this. You might get a reward, like an award, whatever you call it, like a ribbon for going down there or whatever. And I was like, nah, I'm cool. I don't really. I was at, oh shoot, I forgot. I'd have forgot. I can't even, I'm about to get off here anyway because I got to go pick up this jit. So anyway, I was just like, man, you know what? I don't want to go down range if it's an option. I don't care to volunteer to go down range. I told them people, I said, if I wanted to be around kids with AKs, I could have stayed home. I'm from Florida. Like I grew up in Florida, Tallahassee. So if I want to be around kids with chops, I could have stayed in the hood. Like I don't want to be around that. I joined the Air Force to get away from I joined the military to get away from what I was, the neighborhood. That sounds crazy in retrospect, but hands down, Air Force, best branch ever, okay? Tell all your kids, join the Air Force if they can join. If they can't join, I'd say it's Air Force, there's only one branch, Army. Oh man, you wildin'. That's funny. Hold on. Hold on. Also the branches training. Okay, hold on. Oh man, y'all, I didn't even see all this. Curtis, give me 1 second. Hold on. Right, 10 school and trade. Okay. Are you familiar with any good inventory and supply chain jobs or SAP MM certification that pays well? The only jobs I'm really familiar with is like government, like GS jobs. And yes, education and training is key to be trained before you return to civilization jobs. Civilization jobs. Okay. Curtis also says, also the branches allow training for security plus in cyber jobs or other important jobs. That's a fact. Who inspired you to join or what motivated you to join the military? Army helicopter linked to hazard pay duties. I could believe that. It's only one branch. SI says it's only one branch, the Army. Everybody else is our little cousin. But the Air Force is the most graviest, I think as we say. Because they gravest, but I'm sure you mean it's the graviest. And that's true. But let me get off here real quick. But I will say who inspired me to join. I went to my grandfather's funeral and on my mama's side, and the two people who were like the straightest who seemed to be the straightest in the family was like Uncle Russell, who was Navy, and my sister, who she didn't actually get a chance to make it down, but she had sent money and helped us get down there and stuff like that to like go to the funeral. My mama had lost her job and everything all in like the same like week or whatever. Lost her job and her dad passed, so we had to go bury him kind of like on her last check kind of. So looking around at my family, I was just like, yeah, I gotta. The only two people who seemed to be like straight like what I was looking to be like were those two, and my uncle and my sister, and they were both military, so I kind of saw the light. So that whole time at the funeral, I was just asking him a bunch of questions about everything. But yep, so got to get up out of here. Anyway, right now you watching Casino Is the Name. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and we out.